Hi everyone, it's Danny. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with another guest design layout for Cocoa Vanilla Studio. This is my last layout for my guest design spot, so a little bit sad, but I'm still really excited to share this one with you. So I am starting with a plain white piece of 12 by 12 cardstock, and I am going to gesso this just to prime the paper for all the liquid medium I'm going to be using. So I just have a big pot of white gesso. I use a scraper. I find that this gives the thinnest application possible. I just use a really thin amount and scrape it on as thin as I can, and that stops the paper from getting too wet and stops it warping too much. So I'm going through and doing the whole page right up to the edge, and I've skipped most of that out for you so you don't have to watch it. But here I am choosing a photo. I have 3 wedding photos here. I am trying to get through my wedding album. So I do decide on this one because I want to make a circular photo. Excuse my head. I want to make a circular photo because I'm planning on doing a circular design. So I'm just taking one of my kids' little snack bowls from the kitchen and I'm using that as a template. And I'm tracing around that on my photo. Just making sure I get it right. And then I'm going to go through and cut it out. So it would probably be better to use, I don't know, some kind of die maybe for this, or some kind of, you know, perfectly circular cutting element, but I don't have one, so I'm just using my scissors. Works just fine. Now I'm coming in with some watercolor paints, and the little pots I have, I got them from a craft show years and years and years ago. They're kind of like the little solid watercolors, and you add water and activate them. So I'm going to use a couple of those, and then I'm going to use my 2 of my watercolor sets. So this is a nice pretty raspberry pink, so I'm just going in with that. It's a little bit shimmery as well, I think. I'm not sure. I know the lighter pink one I use is shimmery. I can't remember whether this one is, but I do come in with a few different colors anyway. So I'm just laying this down so it's peeking out from the edges of my photo, and I'm just slopping it down with my brush, and then I'm using a bit of the packaging technique. Go, and I've sped this up quite quickly because it does go on for quite a while. My mixed media backgrounds usually take me a fair while. So I'm just going out from my central circular element there, and I'm just sort of creating a trail. So my idea for this was I wanted to use some of the butterflies from the lace wing paper that I fussy cut out, and my idea was to have them sort of flying out from the center of the layout. So you'll see what I had in my head by the time I finished. It actually came together really how I had it in my head, so I'm really pleased about that. It doesn't always work out that way. So here I'm using my watercolors. This is, I think it's Micador brand. So they're not super cheap, but they're not super expensive either. And I'm using that deeper raspberry. I just wanted a bit more of that raspberry color. And now these paints are pearly ones. They're from Spotlight. They were cheap, but they have a really nice pearly effect. They're just not very pigmented. So. And then I'm going in with some of my Kaiser Mist in Gold, and I'm splattering that all over the place, and then I will just take the dropper and sort of dot it around the little trail or swirl, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to then come in with my paintbrush and sort of blend that in, just so I really wanted some of that shimmery gold to be sort of mixed in with the pink, and when it dries it's really pretty. So there we go, all dry. So now I'm bringing in all those little butterflies. So these are all butterflies I fussy cut from the 6x8 paper stack, so the smaller version of the butterfly pattern paper. And then I will bring in some of these tiny little florals. They are from the big floral paper that I'm also going to use in this layout. So I fussy cut those as well. And then those are here now. I'm bringing in some of the bigger butterflies from the 12 by 12 patterned butterfly pattern paper. So I'm just trying to get a good mix of the colors. Now these florals are the florals that I have fussy cut from the large floral pattern paper that's called Glorious in the collection, and I cut out a bunch of that paper, and all those tiny little florals are from that paper too. And then I just have a couple of the die cuts that I'm bringing in, so just a couple of these little smaller flowers are from the die cut set, and these leaves are as well. Just tucking those in. I just wanted to frame my photo a little bit with those florals. And now I'm sort of chopping and changing a bit. I tend to do this with my layouts. I've mentioned this before in videos, but I'm making sure that I leave space for my title. So before I glue anything down, I just want to play around with my title. So I'm using the foam words, of course. I love these foam word titles from the Unforgettable collection. They're just so beautiful. The font is lovely and they're just the perfect size. But I didn't want to use black on this layout, so what I'm doing is taking some mint acrylic paint. It's just a Kaisercraft acrylic paint, and I am painting my foam titles. And I just did that. I used a combination of my finger and a paintbrush. I had to do a couple of coats, so I didn't do all that on camera, obviously. But I've just put those aside to dry for now, and I'm just fussy cutting out a few more of those little florals. I really loved those sprinkled in around the butterflies. And now I'm just popping up my photo on some cardboard. I didn't want to use foam. I'm trying not to use foam too much at the moment because my albums are getting really fat and I'm having trouble finding space for everything. So this is just some cardboard that I had. It's a little bit thinner than craft foam and I had it there, so I figured I may as well use it. And I'm just going to pop that on the back of my photo with some tape. I'm just using a lot of tape because I find that cardboard doesn't stick super well. And I didn't want to use, because I haven't got any photo mats on this photo, I didn't want to put glue right on the back of my photo. So I am going to use wet glue on the back of the cardboard. I'm happy to do that. I just find sometimes it can make your photos warp a little bit if you use wet glue straight on them. So lining it up straight. It's kind of hard to do that when your photo is a circle. I just wanted to get that horizon in the background as straight as possible. Okay, popping in my title now. There we go. I love these titles so much. And my title is going to be Hello Love. This is one of the first photos we had taken straight after our wedding ceremony, so I remember the day quite vividly still. Okay, I did a couple of these hearts as well, but I do struggle with the placement of that last one, you'll see. So now I'm just gluing down the butterflies. I did bend them all in half so the wings pop up, and I'm gluing them down just in the center. And as I'm gluing them down, I am overlapping some. I didn't want them to be all spaced perfectly evenly. I wanted them to, I don't know, kind of look just a little bit random. So some of them I'm overlapping the little ones over the top of the big ones. Some of them I'm tucking under the big ones, and some of them are off on their own, and some of them are sort of clustered together. So yeah, I really like how it ends up looking. There we go. Okay, and now I am popping it down my florals with a bit of wet glue because I have got that mixed media there, so I tend to use wet glue anyway when I'm gluing down my embellishments. I just trust it a bit more. Where I live is very, very hot and humid, so adhesives don't always work all that well. Okay, I just trimmed off the white border on that die cut because all my fussy cut florals don't have borders, obviously, so it looked a bit odd. Okay, now I'm taking the clear stickers and I'm going to tuck in a few of these florals, and I use some of the branches as well. I love the branches on these clear stickers, these little branches. Oh, I love them so much. If I could get a whole sheet of just the branches, I probably would. Excuse me, by the way, if I sound a bit stuffy. I apologize. I have a really bad sinus infection at the moment that I have been battling for a few weeks. Doesn't want to go away. Okay, this blue flower, I struggle placing this one. I put it there, it doesn't stay there. I'm going to pop in this little floral. Yeah, I love these clear stickers, but you really need to put them on white for them to show up, or a plain color. And that one just really wasn't standing out there. I didn't like it, so it was kind of an odd place as well. So what I'm going to end up doing is taking my scissors to it and cutting it in half. There we go. So I could fit it in under here a bit better. Using my trusty tweezers to help me. There we go. And then I am not going to waste it. I'm going to use the leaf that I cut off and pop it in that little gap there. Love that. Really, really happy with that. And then I'm going to chop this one as well. So I've just chopped off the little teal coloured flower, aqua coloured flower, and I'm popping that in there. I needed something else just to fit in this tiny little gap, and I can still use that the rest of that sticker without any problems. So I'm pretty sure I moved that. Yep. Where does it go? There. Hang on, I'm gonna get there. Yeah, no, I move it again. So I'm just covering up. You can see where I scraped off a bit of that paint. So I've just touched that up. It's not going to stay there either. There you go. There you go. Leave it there. Oh, you guys have no idea how much of my videos I cut out is of me doing that. Okay, now I'm bringing in some of the tiny word stickers off the accessory sticker sheet. I love these. So I'm just going to tuck 3 in to either side of my title there and then 1 up here. Just going to nestle that in between the butterflies. And then some enamel dots. I'm going to use these really pretty berry coloured ones. And I'm going to use 2 groups of 3 and vary the sizes. So there we go. And then I'm going to tuck the larger one just sort of underneath a branch there and a branch there, just so they don't look so big and in your face, I suppose. And now the edges were looking a bit boring, so I am going to, well, I wanted to tear the edges, but because I have gessoed right up to the edge of the paper, it has primed my paper so well that it is now almost a bit like canvas, so it doesn't tear very well at all. I couldn't actually tear it. So I've just cut the sections out that I wanted rather messily, and then I'm going through with my scissors and just really distressing the edges up so it looks torn. That was my fix. And I'm trying out a couple of the papers here. They're both from the 6x8 paper stack. I like that big floral, but I think it just took too much away from the main design. So I do end up going with this teeny tiny, I think it's called Forget Me Not in the 12x12. It's teeny tiny floral. And I'm cutting 2 that direction and 1 from the other direction because I want them all to run the same way. I don't want the pattern to flip. Does that make sense? So for the side one here, I'm just adding some glue and then lining it up with the edge and sticking it down. Sorry, my big head getting in the way again. And then I'm really ruffling up those edges there. Okay, we're nearly done. I just want to do a couple more things now. So those letters were just looking a little bit bright to me. So I'm taking a dusty mauve acrylic paint and a dry brush. It's a really fluffy brush, so it gives lots of textury brush strokes. And I am just lightly covering that with paint just on the tip and then brushing it over the top of my letters. So you can't see it that well on camera right now, but in the close-ups you can really see the extra texture and how it really just ties in that mint color so it's not so bright and brings in those pink and mauve tones a bit more. I did little hearts as well. And the very last thing I will do is use my glass bead gel. It's from Liquitex and it dries clear. It just adds some beautiful sparkle, especially when you use it on top of watercolor like this. So I'm just going in between all the gaps on top of where I have done the watercolor, and that just brings another level of texture and interest. And that is it for my layout. Close-ups are coming up. Don't forget to go check out the Cocoa Vanilla Studio blog. The link is in the description box. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time. Bye guys.